Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling, and shall we see what's going on our wonderful island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. We could be talking more about holiday talk. I actually don't think there's much left in the holiday talk, to be honest, but what I'm going to talk about instead, as you might tell by today's title, it's the Genshin Impact concert, which I went to last night. That's what I was busy with. That's why I recorded at like 8 a.m. That's also why I didn't stream today, because I was like, I need to record videos, because I usually record on a Saturday. So I had to record today on Sunday. I'm going to be 100% real with you. I'm pretty sure that Animal Crossing Thumbnail art is not going to be done in time, because, let me think, it's going to be day 363, 364, 365, 366, Tuesday. Yes, it's straight up not going to be done on time, so we'll have a placeholder until then. Which I just hope I can finish it in a timely manner. I will not leave it for 100 days. I think it's very plausible I will leave it for like a week or two unfinished, and for that I apologise, but I know not everyone's going to see that. I'll repeat this message when it actually comes to the anniversary time. But hello everyone, right now in Fawnhallow it's 5:54 p.m. on Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. But yes, if you don't know, Genshin Impact is a Chinese game made by HoYoverse, not MiHoYo, which is very, very popular nowadays. It's a gacha game. So would I recommend you play it? As long as you're the type who will not fall into gacha, or you have the fiduciary means that if you fall into gacha, that's fine. I.e., you are either very self-restrained or have money to burn, then I recommend playing it. Because I think it is genuinely a good game. It is just wrapped up in the gacha monetization system, which is a terribly, terribly exploitive system. So you have to be very honest with yourself if you can play this sort of game and it be okay, essentially. And I mean that with sincerity. But otherwise, it is a fantastic game. Like, you can still engage with things around the game without actually having to play necessarily with its systems. So, yes, what I would say is I enjoy the game a lot. And I'm not going to go in the whole like gacha thing, but it's basically because I like playing games where you play it a little and often every single day. That suits me quite a lot. So I like playing that game, and it helps as well that like I do like this sort of anime fantasy aesthetic that it's got going on. But anyway, long and short, it has some amazing music regardless. Its music is incredible. It's one thing I definitely like noticed since I started playing the game. I was like, this background music goes so hard. And another amazing, brilliant thing is the fact that because it's so character focused, as most gacha games are, there are a lot of character themes. Like, each character tends to have their own music, which is amazing, I think. I find that so fun because I think it's like a really nice way to be able to give personality to characters, etc, etc. But anyway, long story short, there was a Genshin Impact concert last night. Originally it was going to be like last year, and they were going to do it in the O2 Arena, which is one of London's biggest arenas. My friends watched Sabrina Carpenter there recently. I saw... Who did we see there? James Blunt, that's it, very recently. I saw Ramesh, a very popular British comedian, there before. What else have I seen in O2 Arena? I think there's a League of Legends final or something, or some match I watched her. I don't remember. Anyway, it's a very, very popular venue. If you ever try and leave there after something has occurred, it takes forever to get home. As expected. Where was the Taylor Swift concert? Now I think about it. Hold on, I don't even remember what venue it is. Taylor Swift concert UK. Wembley Stadium. Okay. Slightly different. But yeah. That happened last night, and originally it was going to be the O2 Arena, then it got moved to the London. I don't actually know if it's called the Even Time or Even Tim. I think it's called the Even Time, but I like calling it the Even Tim, which is a bit of a smaller venue. But it's nice and sort of cozy, I suppose. I think it's also, they've had concerts before there as well. I don't know, but whatever. Originally it was going to be a while ago, but then it got moved to yesterday. So me and a few other friends went there to enjoy the concert. And it was great. It's wonderful. Like, I love orchestral concerts. I used to play in the school orchestra, I suppose, when I was younger. So we went to some school orchestra sort of trips and things like that. Went to go watch orchestras, especially in secondary school. I did it a bit as well. I've done it with my family before. When I'm given the opportunity, I love classical orchestra. Am I a classical music fiend? Fiend's probably a weird way to say it, but like I don't know all the classical music or things like that, but I can still appreciate it from both being in the orchestra before and, you know, watching it. So they've been doing this like world tour thing, like they've gone to a lot of different countries, and very fortunately they came to the UK, where we'll say that like I didn't expect that, certainly because I don't know how big these games are here in the UK, but it is cool. I mean, they've had a Honkai Star Rail collaboration in the UK before, but it was basically like you had to go to a specific chicken club shop or something, and you could get a code to get some goodies in the game. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Where is it? And it turns out this place only has like a few locations, and they're all in one city. And I'm like, what? I'm not going all the way there just for that. Annoyingly, apparently they used to have a London branch, but they don't anymore. So don't know what's up with that. Anyway, not the point. London, at the very least, is much more accessible for me and my friends. So that's where we went. And I guess I'll just sort of talk about my thoughts about it. It's going to be a very niche conversation topic, I think. So feel free to tune in, tune out, I suppose, as you see fit. But yeah, the long and short of it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Genshin Impact is divided over to like lots of different nations, I guess. And they each have different sort of visual aesthetics and inspirations in the first place, which also lend well to the musical backing that they have. And I fully appreciated it. Did I recognise every song that was played? No, I don't think so. I recognised a lot of them, but a lot of them I couldn't like properly place. I was like, okay, yeah, this is like the opening theme, and this is like the one where this is like the theme for the region. I don't know where it plays, I just kind of know it, and I'm like, this is the character theme for this character, etc, etc, etc. And it was amazing. Like by the time the first act like was over and we went to the first break, I was like, I can't believe it's only been an hour. That felt like it was 3 hours in a good way, where I was like, this is amazing. They played 49 songs. Again, not all the songs are like whole 3-4 minute things. Like some of them are like only a few minutes long because they're like character themes. Like, hold on, I can see like a Bard's Adventure. How long is this? Is one about 2 minutes, so it's not as crazy. The entire concert was about 3 hours, I think. But I'll just talk about like what I thought about it. So we started in Mondstadt, which is very much inspired by, I think, Western Europe, much more sort of traditional Western Europe sort of things. I think the word that they use all the time is Fremian, is that the word? Which is like old German, not Fremian. What it's like the German thing. It's like a, not Frisian. Fremen. Is that it? No. Fremnian? Fraconian? No, what is it? Freneman Aesthetic Germany. Is something like that. Not Freeman. Fremian. I swear it's something like Fremian. I actually can't find the word. Is it not Fremen? I don't know. I can't find what the word is, but if I remember it, I will put it in the description. But it's got a very sort of like traditional, sort of old school feeling, sort of aesthetic in Western Europe, but a lot of German sort of inspirations. And we start out with a nice sort of like the opening theme to Genshin Impact that you hear all the time when you like have a login screen and stuff like that. And then you go into the nice little themes, like the theme for Mondstadt, which I don't know if it is a specific theme for Mondstadt. I guess it's the Knights of Favonius one, and they played it. But they also very, in a cool way, they had like videos playing as well from relevant moments. And I always say in general, it's really cool for this entire concert, like to see the previous moments, the story beats that we've been through and the adventures we've been on, and hear it musically again. There's plenty of times I went, oh, when I saw what song was coming next, so I heard it and I was like, this is going to be good. And it was good. Like the orchestra was great, I think. At least I'm not at the level enough where I can criticize it enough to be like, oh yeah, this is what they could have done better. But there was only one thing I would say, that during one of the songs where vocals was a big part, I could barely hear the vocals, and I thought that was quite sad. But yeah, yeah, Knights of Favonius, so it was great. And then we get to the character themes, which I tend to know a lot better. We started off with Venti's one, that was like great. And then I was like, it was great sort of thinking because I didn't know the track list, I didn't look at it. I was like, I don't know what they're going to play next. And then Eula's theme came on, and I was like, oh, this is such a good choice of a character theme because it's such a unique one. It's very sort of like, it's like a Spanish tango, I think is how I describe it. I don't actually know if that's technically true, but definitely feels like what it's inspired by. And yeah, so that was really, really cool to hear that being played. And then Symphony of Boreal Wind. This is some background music. I don't remember where it's from or where you hear it. It's against Andreas. Okay. Tender Strength. So they tended to do this, where they would do like the intro music for the region. Then they do one of the iconic like background musics. Then they do like 2 or 3 character themes. And then they did a combat music. And then they did somewhere else. I don't know. This one's apparently reused a lot. Tender Strength. Which, if it's the one I think it is, this is a very iconic one. Wisp of Vainlandfest. Oh yeah, and then Vindersfest. And then they did some relating to events as well. They did a lot of the Moonlight, the Lantern Light Festival. And it was great. Mondstadt, fantastic, beautiful. No notes. I was just very excited when this one came on because I was having a discussion with my friend before, like what songs I wanted to see. My favourite is Collei's theme, is my favourite character theme. But I was like, what other ones would be really good? I think Linny's one would have been really good. Spoilers, it did come on. Nahida's is one of my favourites as well. Farina's is great, but what other ones stick in my mind? But Eula's was one I forgot about and I was like, oh yeah, this is such a good one. I would have said this if I remembered it. Anyway, then we moved to Liyue, which is more inspired by Chinese music. Much more traditional Chinese music as well. Unsurprising, it's a Chinese game. They're going to like have appreciation for Chinese culture in there. The first 2 songs I don't remember very well. There's a lot of Tartaglia in here for what I remember. Because it had both Tartaglia's like teaser theme and then like demo theme. And people went crazy. So there was some woman like in the stores or whatever who just went, whoa! After it was played. And we were like, alright, you do you. I had Zhongli's theme, which I think is a very good one. Never Ending Performance, I don't remember what this one is. For the soundtrack. It's Shimmering Voyage. Oh, it's a battle music against Child. That was pretty cool. I haven't fought that boss in ages, so I was like, I don't really remember what it goes like. But then this is like when the story beats started to hit me. Because they didn't do the Mondstadt story beats now I think about it. Like, I don't think they did the one where you cured the Dvalin. I guess Genshin Impact, spoilers by the way. But they did, I guess they did a Windbloom Festival, which is kind of cool. But they did Imminent Triumph, which is, I don't remember this part, but then A Noble Sacrifice. Oh, they're both part of the same thing, where Ningguang drops the Jade Chamber on Belial? I can't remember the demon's name. And I was like, that's such an iconic moment. I remember myself playing that moment of game, being like, whoa, it's like a boss fight, we're fighting enemies on this thing. And then I can't remember exactly what she says. But then she like does the thing where she drops the Jade Chamber, and I was like, whoa! It was so late at night. I remember when I was playing it, and I just kept playing because I was like, I have to see what happens in the story quest. And her dropping the entire Jade Chamber on the enemy for the good of her nation, I was like, that is crazy. I was just like, whoa, cinema, as they say. Moved on to Inazuma. I was pleasantly surprised a lot of the times by the soundtracks that they chose, because I felt like there was a lot of really easy options they could have chose, and some of the easy options they did choose. Like I was like, Ayaka is like a really obvious choice for her theme for her to be played. She's insanely popular. Raiden's obviously going to come up, but then it surprised me as well. Some other moments like the opening stuff is all very fair. Kazuha, very popular. The problem is I can't remember what the soundtrack sounds like from the names because I haven't listened to the Genshin Impact enough. Again, the Genshin Impact soundtrack enough, but it was really like in the moment. Like you don't need to know the soundtrack to be able to be immersed, I think, by orchestral music. In my opinion, your mileage may vary. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ayato was a very surprising one to come up because I was like, I completely forgot Ayato was even a character because you very rarely see him, and he had basically no relevance within the story quest despite working behind the scenes. I'm surprised they didn't do the music which played during Raiden's second story quest, on reuniting with Makoto. But yeah, I don't know. It was fantastic. The battle music, it was intense. And I just loved seeing them play the cutscenes as well, because I seeing the cutscenes and being like, yes, I remember this moment. I remember what it was like going through the story quest. And that's what happened when we did the chasm thing at the end, where it's like, oh no, are they going to get stuck here? And then Xiao sacrifices his life, or tries to sacrifice his life to get everyone out. And I was like, what? No. Lots of good stuff. Sorish's Purity. I don't even know if that's what the song was called. But Sorish, my favourite NPC of this game. I'm glad she's voiced. Smithing scope. Yeah, but I didn't realise that how many like cutscenes in this game had its own specific particular soundtrack to go along with it as well. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's actually a very cool thing, if anything. But it ends up sort of surprising me, because I was like, whoa, there's no way I remember what the soundtrack was for this cutscene, but I remember the cutscene, and that's the important part. The designer's theme, that was really cool. I mean, you can see on the wiki what the track list is, so there's no surprises here. But like while Sumeru was going on, I was like, there's only one thing I can't wait to hear, and I knew they were going to do it, because I was like, oh, all the Archons get their theme played, that's awesome. And it was 100% Nahida's character demo, I think, theme. I can't remember, but it's the one where it has all the little Aranara going la 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 la. They did Wanderer stuff as well, which I thought was surprising, but you know, Wanderer is very popular. And then, they played the cutscene when Nahida has to absorb Ruka Devata and erase her from everyone's memories. And I was like, no, this is so sad. Heartbreaking moment, but really, really iconic. Because I remember, again, it just brings me back to playing that moment and being like, no way is this happening. And it's just beautifully brilliant. And then they did it, but it's Sirasvana Fantasia, that's the song I was talking about. And I was super, super happy. Thank goodness for Nahida being an Archon and getting the Archon treatment. Oh, and then I was pleasantly surprised. They did the soundtrack from Yoimiya's second story quest, which was so random, because Yoimiya is not a popular character at all, but this is actually, like, her second story quest is one of the best story quests in the game, in my opinion. It's so uplifting and heartwarming. And it's just so sweet to see it happen. And its music is very sort of Mario Galaxy vibes, is what I think. But yeah, I don't know, it was just beautiful. And then Fontaine is probably my favourite region for songs. So a lot of these I was just like, yeah, waiting for it. Because by this point I'm like, I'm waiting for Farina's song to come on. I hope they do Lenny's. I don't know if they will. They did Lenny's and I went, yes! And then they did Lynette's as well and I went, whoa, no way. It was crazy. But yeah, what else? They did Navi as well, who's one of my favourite Fontaine characters, and I was like, this is amazing, this is peak, this is my favourite section so far, because they just went hit after hit after hit of some of my favourite soundtracks. Of course they were going to do Novelettes, it would be crazy if they didn't do Novelettes, and then obviously they rounded off with like Farina stuff. Oh yeah, we did the theme to the All-Devouring Narwhal, forgot about that. An open world thing over here, and then they did Farina's character theme. The only thing I'm a little bit sad by is that they didn't do Farina's song in her story quest, which is, to be fair, like a French opera, they'd had to get an actual opera singer in. But if they did do it, I'd be like, that'd be amazing. And then what surprised me is, like, I thought it was the end of the concert then. Like, the conductor even did the thing, you clap for the conductor walks off, and then obviously everyone remains standing, and the first time you go to orchestra, you're like, what's going on? Then the conductor comes back on, then you're like, oh, I'm gonna clap again, and here we go. And then they turned around and I was like, wait, are they playing another song? And then they did the Natlan stuff and I was like, whoa, what the heck? They played the Natlan themes as well? Because I'm not even sure if the Natlan themes would have existed by the time the other orchestra stuff played. I guess it must have, now I think about it. But it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, Natlan! As well. I was about to lose my mind if they did like an actual character music for Natlan as well. They didn't, unfortunately. because you know I would have loved to heard Sit Lally's one. I don't know how they were doing an orchestra and it doesn't even fit, but yeah, it was a brilliant time. I loved it. I love orchestral concerts, and it's Genshin Impact, a games whose soundtrack I absolutely adore. It's a perfect marriage. It goes hand in hand with each other, just like that. So I thoroughly had a good time. Lots of people cosplayed that, which I thought was really cool. I did not cosplay. I don't cosplay. I don't have anything against it. I think it actually would be a very fun activity. It just takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of money, of which I don't have spare the moment to be able to invest into it. But I don't know, who knows, someday. You might be like, did you get any merch? I did get merch. I wasn't going to get merch because there wasn't a lot of merch. Like they actually gave you free merch at the door, and it contains like, I'm not even sure what to describe, like a clear filter frame sort of thing to put over. You could put over photos. I don't know how else you're meant to use it, and it has like a nice sort of like laminated, not laminated, but like nice quality looking ticket for the Genshin concert as well, in this nice sort of sleeve. And I was like, this is like some high quality free merch you're giving out. I adore that. I've also read later apparently there were spares that we were just leaving on the counter which you could take, and maybe I should have taken a spare one to give to someone who couldn't have made it. But I don't think I know anyone else who plays Genshin who didn't go to the concert, but whatever. But yeah, they didn't have a lot of merch. They have like the icon key art for it, which is Lynette playing a violin and Navia playing with drums. Which are two of my favourite characters still. Like they're definitely up there. Navia's like in top 10. Lynette's probably in top 20, I would guess. But I was like, I don't, like the things I had was like, there's a mouse mat. And I was like, I don't really need a mouse mat. I've got a mouse mat. What do I do with two mouse mats? Or desk mats, I should say. And I tend to like much more simplistic designs with my aesthetics anyway, so I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. Maybe we sold acrylic stands, and I was like, I don't know what I'd do with an acrylic stand. I guess I don't have like a place I display things. I display plushies. So if it was a plushie, maybe I would have bought it. And apparently some other locations had like, I don't know what they call them, like standees, the metal glass pane things. And I was like, that's kind of cool. I also don't know what I would do with that though. But then as I was leaving, but the merch line was so long, like before the concert, so I was like, okay, like I'm not going to queue up for merch which I don't want to buy. So I was like, and none of my friends wanted to buy anything, so I was like, we'll just pass. But when we were leaving, there was like a lot of merch I assume left, and the merch sellers were basically being like, hey, if anyone wants to buy merch, come on, because there was like no queue. And I was like humming and hawing, being like, should I get something like this? And I was like, okay, I'll buy something. There's no queue. Literally, it will just cost me, I mean, it was kind of expensive, mind you, but I was like, I'm not going to come here again. This is limited edition. Why not? They got me right into their trap. So I walked up and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy the last piece of merch, which I will still not use, but at least feels more reasonable to me. And I was like, okay, can I have a Navia badge? And then yeah, I bought a Navia badge, and it was just like, would you want anything else? And I thought about it and I was like, you know what, while I'm here, I'll get the Lynette badge as well. And I'm actually happy I got the Lynette badge. The Lynette badge looks better because you can actually see her playing violin on it. Navia, you can't see, you can only see that she's holding a drumstick, so it doesn't really work on the badge. But yeah, I don't know what merch I would have bought, to be honest. I want there to be clothing, to be honest. But like, I would have absolutely bought like a jacket or something which had like motifs, not overly over the top designs, but hey ho. Anyway, so that's it. The Genshin Impact concert, the Melody of an Endless Journey concert. It was great. It was great fun. I loved it. Love concerts. Love it being mixed with a game I play all the time. So yeah, that's my review. It's not really a review. I just spoke about it very quickly. So I'm going to round this episode off here. If you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Social Discord down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.